Welcome everyone to the Microsoft 365 Virtual Marathon. Thank you for attending and I hope you're having a great conference. I'd like to introduce Tim, who will be presenting a session titled WVD Set Up Your Environment in the Blink of an Eye. Take it away, Tim.
Thanks for the introduction. Hello everyone and welcome to my session about WVD or Windows Virtual Desktop. First, I want to say a big thanks to the organization for making this event happen. It's crazy how many good sessions there are in this 36 hours long event. A little something from the organization first. The SharePoint conference is now called the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference, and it will take place in Las Vegas from 23 to 25 March 2021. So make sure you put those dates in your agenda. Also a big thank to the sponsors. I think without them this event wouldn't have been possible. So a big thanks to all the platinum, gold and silver sponsors. My name is Tim Hermie and I'm a senior modern workplace architect at Synergix Belgium. Synergix, we are a cloud change agent, so we help companies and organizations move to a cloud-first approach. My job is mostly a mixture of consultancy, technical pre-sales, and delivering trainings, internal as well as external. I make custom offerings for our clients. I also designed a custom module matrix for our Intune projects so that our customers can put together their own project that fits their needs. It's with building blocks so they can fit it together themselves. I also advise and train our junior modern workplace engineers. Since recently, I can call myself a Microsoft MVP, Enterprise Mobility, and I'm really happy with the recognition I get from Microsoft. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, a frequent blogger at cloudboy.be with a strong focus on the modern workplace, Intune, WVD, MDATP. I'm also a founding board member of the Microsoft Cloud and Client Management community in Belgium. It's a community we started with 8 like-minded people, some already well known in the community, and we organize a lot of events, so make sure to check out our site. So what is on the agenda for today? We're going to talk a little bit about what WVD is, where WVD fits in Azure, because it's something that can trigger a discussion, the requirements for WVD, WVD1 versus WVD2, and it's really funny because I already prepped my session long before and I had to change it all over with the spring release, so I hope I'll get to 50 minutes. If not, it will be done earlier, but I'll do my best. MSIX app attach, app assure, how to make a golden image, how to deploy WVD, a community tool, WVD admin, and I'll have some demos in between. So first of all, the desktop as a service market is really growing fast, and these COVID-19 times certainly have something to do with it. If we look at the market share Microsoft is having at the moment with WVD, it's a really big one if you compare it to Citrix. So we're on a good way there. But what is WVD or Windows Virtual Desktop? And we all come from, if you look at the left side of the slide, Windows Server, RD session hosts, we all come from there. There were companies who were running an RDS farm, but it's a scalable multi-session legacy Windows environment, but it runs on a Windows server. It also has that look and feel. You can see it that it's a server. You can run multiple sessions, no problem there. It's the same. Concerning the applications, only Win32 apps were working, and the Office was a big issue. Teams, OneDrive, no-folder move, it didn't work really well or didn't work at all. Also, it was on the long-term servicing channel, so updates were not that frequent. On the right side, we have Windows 10 Enterprise, and I'm sure everybody knows it. Everybody works with it. It's a single session. Win32 apps, unified Windows platform apps work on it. Office 365, the whole stack, it works perfectly. Teams, OneDrive, the no-folder move, Word, you can do what you want. And what did Microsoft do? They blended the two together and they came to a new product that they call WVD or Windows Virtual Desktop. And what is Windows Virtual Desktop then? It's a Windows 10 Enterprise multi-session. So it's scalable multi-session, modern Windows user experience with Windows 10 Enterprise security. So it runs on Windows 10. It's still multi-session, but you have that Windows 10 look and feel. You don't have the Windows Server look and feel. Win32 apps work, unified Windows platform apps work. The whole Office 365 stack works on it, and it runs on the semi-annual channel. And Microsoft says of their product, it's the best virtualized Windows experience from anywhere and on any device. And on any device is really true, because a month or 2 months ago, I saw a tweet pass by on Twitter of a guy sitting in his Tesla, and he had WVD open in his console in the browser, so that was really neat. And what is the client support for WVD? Of course, it's going to run on Windows 10, on Windows 7. We have a remote desktop agent to connect with it. It also works in the browser, so HTML5, but also on the tablet, macOS, iOS, Android. So in fact, you can work from anywhere on any device. Let's go to a demo first. The WVD pricing calculator. It is integrated in the Azure pricing calculator. So if we look for virtual desktop here, you can just open it. It will pop down. We can choose our region. I'm going to leave it. Choose what type we want, a personal virtual desktop or a pooled. Pooled will be the preferred choice. You can choose your users, your usage hours, multi-session, your workload type. You can choose your virtual machines you want to run, and it will give you an estimation of your costs per month. So that's good to know. You can calculate your cost here. Be aware that it's an estimation. It can vary, of course. So where does WVD fit in the modern workplace and in Azure? And that's something that's nice to discuss about, because I have a good friend. He works at the same company as me. He's the Azure architect there. And before he started at my firm, at my company, he said, "Hey, Tim, who's going to do the WVD projects?" And I said, "Of course, I'm going to do them. I'm in the modern workplace team." And he said, "Yeah, but it's not really all modern workplace. It's also Azure." And it's true. It's a mixture of both. It blends really well together, because you can say it's modern workplace related because you are offering a desktop environment at your end users. You have to maintain it, have applications there, but the VMs run in Azure, so it picks a bit of both worlds. You can use the conditional access from M365, multi-factor authentication, role-based access control. It runs in Azure. It runs on reverse connect, so that means that there are no ports open. It uses Azure ID from authentication, and your machines are Active Directory joined. So long story short, I still have discussions with my friend about this, and we just came to the agreement. Whoever has time free will do the projects. And I think it's something that we both must do. We both have the skill set to do it, and it's a part of both our teams. Now, who can implement WVD? Which customers are eligible for it? It's really simple. I have the licenses here. If you look at the client side, if you have a Microsoft 365 E3, E5 license, an A3 or A5, so the student licenses, an F1. If you have the business license also, you can take use of WVD. Windows 10 Enterprise, E3, E5, the education, the VDA licenses. But also if you come from an RDS environment and you have call licenses, you are eligible to use WVD. And if you use it, you only pay for the virtual machines, for your uptime, for your storage of your user profiles, and for the networking that is consumed. If you look at the high-level architecture, a great piece is managed by Microsoft. What does that mean? When we had our RDS farm on premises running, we had a broker, a gateway, a web access, a management tool, a load balancing. We all had to maintain it ourselves. We had to do the updates. There were people working on it, maintaining it. This is something that Microsoft will manage for us. So it's a free service that they give us if we have one of those licenses from my previous slide. And the only thing that we're going to manage is our VMs that we are spinning. We're going to have them a Windows 7 Enterprise, a Windows 10 Enterprise, the multi-session, or we can publish apps instead of full desktops. It's also possible. I'm going to demo this at the end of my session. So it's really great that Microsoft takes away a lot of the management. So it takes a lot of pain points away. You don't have to put in a lot of man hours maintaining your farm. You just focus on what is important, and that's it. What are the prerequisites to deploy WVD? First, we're going to choose an identity strategy. So we can choose Azure Active Directory Domain Services. It's a PaaS solution, platform as a service solution, Active Directory solution. It's a fixed price. I think it varies from $90 minimum, I think, a month. You can have a VM running in Azure with Active Directory, with an Active Directory on it, or you can have an on-premises domain controller. Of course, you'll need a site-to-site VPN or express route so that your host pools can join your domain controller. The third option is probably the one that we're going to see the most, because we're living in a hybrid world at these days. There are not many companies that are full cloud already. The next step we're going to choose is where are we going to host our user profiles or FSLogic profiles. And FSLogic was a company that created this solution, and Microsoft bought them. So it's part of Microsoft now. So we can choose there. We're going to put them on a file server. We're going to put them on Azure files with Azure Active Directory Domain Services, or we can use Azure NetApp files. We also have to make sure that we have all the credentials needed: subscription admin, Azure ID, global admin, Active Directory administrator. So these are the prerequisites. These are the foundation stones. It's good to work out first what strategy you're going to take, and you can build on that. Since shortly, the new Azure portal is live with WVD. WVD 2 is it called. It's really neat. I'm going to demo it a bit later. Before this, there was no built-in management tool. So everything we did to set up WVD was done with PowerShell. You could deploy a management tool from GitHub, and it was with an ARM template, but it wasn't built in Azure. So it's big progress they made. It's very easy to deploy host pools now. You don't have to do tricks with PowerShell. Before WVD2, you could deploy a host pool from the marketplace, but it failed a lot in my test. So you could there was a workaround, and you could deploy an ARM template, so you could fix it. It was no issue, but it's a really smoother experience now, much easier, and everyone can set it up. What are the biggest differences between WVD1 and WVD2? Well, the biggest one is WVD1 is non-ARM based and WVD2 is ARM based. So if you look at the non-ARM based, the app publishing was at individual user level. We couldn't apply a group of users to an app. So it was a big issue. If we had 100 users to assign, we had to assign them all 100 manually. The admin access control was with Windows Virtual Desktop custom roles. There was a separate PowerShell module, a separate management web GUI. Just like I said, there was nothing integrated in the Azure portal. You had to deploy it, and you had to pay for it also for it to be running. It worked well. That was not the issue. The monitoring, PowerShell, and separating monitoring web GUI, the same here. The service metadata storage was only in the US, and you had to have a consent for reading Azure ID mandatory. Now with the spring release that came available, we had our management integration. Our user interface was integrated in the Azure portal. A really big one, the app publishing. We can finally assign user groups and individual users. The admin access control, we are rid of the custom roles, but we can now also use Azure role-based access control and the custom roles. There is an integrated Azure AD PowerShell module. I'm going to show it a bit later. The monitoring is also integrated with the Azure portal. You can integrate log analytics. It's really great. The service metadata storage you can choose now. You have a few options, and you don't need a consent anymore. If we look at it in an object model way, WVD1, the non-ARM object model, at the top, there was our tenant group. We had to have a tenant group. There was a tenant behind it. Then we had our host pools, And in our host pools could be our session host or our application groups, in which we had our user sessions, or we assigned our users, or we published our remote applications or desktops. The ARM object model is totally different. So now we look at the subscription level. In the subscription level, we have our workspaces that you can compare with the tenants. We have our host pools. In our host pools, we have our session hosts with our user sessions. We can use SSO. We have our app groups. We can publish our apps, assign users to them, assign groups to them. So it's real advancement from WVD 2 to WVD 1. The new PowerShell module, make sure you test this. WVD and log analytics. What does log analytics provide for you? It gives you insights on management activities, your feed, your connections, your host registrations, and your errors. So it's really good and advisable to implement log analytics with WVD. It will give you a lot of insights. Also very nice, it's a tool that you can use to measure your latency. You can see where you are and which region is it best for you. MSIX apps attach, something that is coming. I think it's still in private preview. And what is MSIX app attach? We're always going to be starting from a golden image when we deploy our host pool. So let's say we made a golden image with 10 applications in that our end users need, but after 2 months, there's a new application that they need. So we could, of course, remake our golden images, no issue there. But the cool thing with MSIX app attach is that we can we can package it as MSIX, the new application, put it on a file share, and we can just attach it to it. It isn't part of our golden image, and we don't have the need to remake it, and we can fix it just by easily attaching it. So the native format is MSIX, of course. It has minimal performance impact. MSIX apps can be stored off the Windows disk, so they can be stored off the the golden image. They remotely mount the apps to the VM on demand. Apps groups are assigned to users, and they're available instantly at login. It looks and feels local to the users and to the Windows, and for both Azure and on-premises workloads. So it works in both scenarios. That's really great. There's also application masking that's coming soon. And another scenario here is, let's say that we have a big company with 10 departments, and each department has its specific programs that they use. So we could use we could make different golden images to deploy different host pools. We could do that. But let's say that we just put all our applications in one golden image. Purpose-wise, it's faster. We only have one golden image to maintain. And with application masking, we can say that for department A, they only have to see application A, B, C, D. Department B only has to see application F, G, H. So we can mask the applications that they don't need to see. That's also a great neat feature that is coming. AZURE is something that Microsoft is promising. Let's say that we are migrating a legacy application from Windows 7, for example, and we want to publish it in WVD. We just want to publish the app to our end users, but we can't get it working. Well, Microsoft is promising us that they will work together with us. They will help us until we get the application running, and they will do it at no additional cost. So that's a really neat thing that they are doing. Now, how can we make a golden image? And at the end of my session, I've put in some references with some good blog posts. Christian Brinkhoff is the global black belt for WVD. He has a really great blog post with all these steps in detail, how you have to do it. Be sure to check it out. But in short, how are we making our golden image? We're going to create a Windows 10 Enterprise multi-session Office 365 Pro Plus VM in Azure. We're going to install the OneDrive per machine, so not per user, but at the machine level. We're going to do the OneDrive known folder move, so their desktop documents, pictures gets redirected to OneDrive, so they get the same look and feel on the Windows 10 device that they are working locally on, but also on the WVD. We're going to install themes, the same here. We're going to install it per machine, not per user. We're going to install it at the machine level. If you wanted more detailed these, really look at Christian Brinkhoff's blog. It's a step-by-step guide. You can do it. After the themes, we're going to add the language packs. Which language packs do we need? We're going to add the FS Logics profile container as profile delivery solution because we need a place for our profiles to be saved, or user profiles. Finally, our image is ready. So what do we have to do? We're going to sys prep it to make it ready. We're going to capture the custom image, and we're going to create an Azure shared image gallery. And that's all for making the golden image. Now, how do we deploy it? First, we're going to have to perform the Microsoft Desktop Virtualization Resource Provider registration. This is on the subscription level. I can show you this later. We're going to create our host pool. We're going to select our custom image instead of our images that they are providing already. Network and security. Going to provide the properties for our Azure Virtual Network to join our session hosts in. We're going to create our workspace. Like I said, is the new name for the tenant. We can create and assign remote applications, even to Azure Active Directory groups. And we can add our session host to an existing host pool. That are the steps. It's nothing more. And let's go through it. So like I said, at the subscription level, let's first take a look there. You have resource providers. Let me just type virtual. This one is the one that has to be registered, and you can just do it in your subscription. You can look it up and say register. It will get registered. This is the first step. WVD, Windows Virtual Desktop, became available, so it's in public preview now. I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a host pool. I said my session is called Set Your Environment Up in the Blink of an Eye. It's really nothing to it. So we're going to choose our subscription, our resource group, our host pool name, our location. I'm going to leave it like this. We want a pooled host pool with maximum 10 users. You can choose your load balancing algorithm, breadth first or depth first. We can add virtual machines, and of course, in the demo, we want to add a virtual machine. I'm going to spin it up in my region. I'm going to change the size so it doesn't get too expensive in my demo. Let's say this one. I want 1 VM. You can deploy 3 if you want to use the load balancing. The prefix of the VM. There. Here we can choose our image. And normally here we will choose our golden image. I'll choose the standard one that I provided. We can choose your disk type. Standard SSD is fine here. Our virtual network is already selected. Just select the right subnet. We don't have a public IP open. We don't have public inbound ports. We don't need to specify the domain. This is the user that has the rights to join in your Active Directory or in your ADDS. I'm just going to retype to be sure. There. Choose the workspace. We can register it already. I'm just going to skip it for our demo. Click on Review and Create. The validation passed, and let's click on Create. So it's now 16:24. Let's see how long it takes. There. It consists of a few steps. I'm going to go over them once we're a bit further in the deployment. Some optional things that I can show you also. We can change the name of your workspace. You can give it a friendly name. You can change the name of your virtual desktops. You can also give them a friendly name. So if you give them a name, you can change it afterwards, which is also neat. WVD admin is a really nice tool. I gave this session also, but about WVD1 at the Scottish Summit, I think a few months ago, and I hadn't heard of this tool yet. And it's a free, a community tool that Marcel Meurer made. He's a Microsoft MVP Azure, and he was at my session. He mailed me, check it out, and I checked it out, and it's really neat. I'm going to show you it in the demo also. His blog is here. Make sure to check it out. He has a lot of great blogs, and you can use it for WVD administration. You can use it to migrate from WVD1 to WVD2, but he has some nice extra features that are not available in the Azure portal. So you can, for instance, mirror a user session with his tool, and that's really nice. Let's show the end user experience. There. This is the tool that Microsoft provides, the remote desktop tool, to connect to your host pools. And you can see I have two host pools here, switch to modern app pool and switch to modern desktop pool. First thing I can show you here is if we go to WVD, and look at my host pools, that they are called differently, or my workspaces. So I said you can give them a friendly name, and this will reflect in your remote desktop app. If you go to properties here, you see my friendly name, switch to modern app pool, and this is what reflects here, app pool. In my app pool, I publish my apps. In my desktop pool, I publish my full desktops. So let's just connect to one. There, and we're already connected. And just to show you how smooth it runs, and you have to know these are some B machines. So I didn't even spin up some D machines. In my test environment, I have B machines running, and they work. If you can see it, it works really well. Let's just open something. I'm going to show you the difference with the browser-based solution. I'm going to skip this. Oops. Let me type something. I can't, no. Let me show you the other one. So this is the remote desktop client. You can connect to it. It's a full desktop experience. You see that it works really well. I've always also published some applications. So why is it different? Here we provide a full desktop for our end users. So they just have the Windows 10 experience from anywhere, from any place, on any device, like Microsoft said. But what I see in the great advantage that I see in WVD is, what if we are moving a company or an organization to the cloud, and really with a cloud first approach, and we leave almost nothing on premises, but we have that one legacy application that we have to put in the cloud somewhere. We have to be able to publish it to our end users. So for me, that is the biggest advantage of WVD. We can migrate that application to the cloud and just publish the application to our end users. And I've just published some easy ones here, but let me show you. First time it takes a bit longer because it has to log in the Windows 10 machine. If I'm going to open my second apps after this one opens, you'll see it will open much faster. I can sign in, of course. There. WMFA. Click on yes. There, all set. You can see that it is pinned in your taskbar, so it's just like you're opening an application from on your device. You can see the difference. If you see how it really works very smooth. I'm not now going to open a second one, and you'll see that it will open much faster than the first time. There. So once you have your connection with your pool and you opened your first application, the second will open a lot faster. And it just pins on your taskbar here, so it's really neat. This is with the client, so it's a remote desktop connection, so of course it will work fast. But maybe I should show you the HTML client also. There. I'm gonna open it in een incognito tab. Okay. Authenticating. No, they're not here. I'm not going to be able to show this. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the demo here. So what steps are being taken when you deploy a host pool? And there are a few steps. So it's going to create your host pool, your application groups. It's going to deploy your VM. And at the end, your VM will join your domain because it's still needed that your VM is joined in your domain. I still have a session open here, so that's good. Let's show you WVD admin. So that's a tool I've been talking about, tool from Marcel Meurer. It's really nice. You can choose your feature updates here. It works if you want to set it up, you'll have to create a service principal and application registration. His blog post is really up to date. You can just follow it and it will do the trick. So let's reload. There. And we can see here I have no WVD1 host pools anymore. I only have 2 because I migrated them already. You can see which VMs are running in which resource group. The M365 one is already up and running. If I have images, they will be here also. The workspaces, you can see in my subscription which workspaces I have. In my application pool, you can do your assignments if you want. You can see it's assigned to this group in my tenant. Your host pools. If you look at the app pool, you even have your application groups in here. So your published apps, your session hosts, so your VMs that are spinned up. Your apps are here. You can do your assignments here easily. But the features that you have, there are a few features you have in this tool that are not in the Azure portal. And these are the important ones. You can mirror. I know it's a feature that's been asked at Microsoft to have it available. There's no date yet. Will they implement it or not? So we don't know anything, but we can select one here and we can click on mirror to see what he's doing. Let's say our end users are doing something in WVD and they have an issue they call help desk. Help desk can just mirror and see what the error is or help them. We can also send a message to the selected one. It's a blue message that will appear. We can log them off. We can disconnect them. So it's a really nice tool that Marcel has made. Let's go back to the slides. So some references. The overview in Microsoft Docs. The docs are really up to date. The guides also. If you want to set it up in your demo environment, just follow the guides. There are enough blog posts also about it. Especially Christian Brinkhoff, his blog posts are really good. Some blogs about WVD. my blog is up top. I have a few articles. I'm more focused on Intune, but there are a few articles there. Michel Wetz, it's a member of our MC2MC community, is also a Microsoft MVP Enterprise Mobility. He's doing a lot with WVD. He has a lot of great blog posts. Christian Brinkhoff, of course, Global Black Belt, WVD at Microsoft. Marcel Meurer, the Microsoft MVP Azure, also busy with it. And I think I'm a bit in front of time, so I can answer some questions in the Q&A. Our deployment is complete, so it took 11 minutes, I think, to set it up. And we can see it. I can show you this. We have an extra VM up and running, the Microsoft 365 Zero VM. If we go to the Windows Virtual Desktop Blade here, we'll have a new host pool here, M365 Marathon. And maybe I can even connect with it. Let me check if it's available there. No, because I still have to assign it. I'm not going to do that. But you can see how easy it is to set it up, how fast it is to set it up. So I hope it was an interesting session. I'm still here now for some Q&A, and I'll follow up in the chat. Thanks for listening. A few more notes from the organization. There's a raffle. They're giving away 3 Oculus Quests all in once. So make sure you put in your answers to enter the raffle. Consider donating to the following charity relief funds. Take a look at this slide. If you're interested, donate something. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them in the Q&A, even after the Q&A. If you see my session on YouTube or online, just connect with me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, send me a mail. I'll always answer. I'm not going to promise I'm going to answer within the hour, but I always provide you an answer. Thank you for joining.